Hey there, and welcome back. Have you ever read a line that stayed with you long after you finished the page? Ever wondered what made it so memorable? It wasn't an accident. Today, we're opening up the writer's toolkit to explore three powerful literary devices: juxtaposition, allusion, and anaphora. And once you know how they work, you'll start spotting them everywhere. You've probably heard this one before, right? It's one of the most famous opening lines in history. Just listen to it for a second. Feel that rhythm, that immediate, in your face contradiction? It just grabs you right from the start. So what's the deal? What is the secret sauce that makes this one sentence so incredibly powerful? The answer isn't just, oh, he was a genius. It's a set of very specific, very learnable techniques that we are about to break down one by one. Let's start with our first literary device, juxtaposition. That amazing line from Dickens is an example of how writers place opposite ideas side by side to make both of them stand out. That's the power of juxtaposition. So, to put simply, juxtaposition is when a writer places two opposite ideas side by side. Why? Because the contrast makes both ideas stand out more. By comparing opposites, writers create a stronger effect than either idea could create on its own. Just look at this example. On one side, a rich feast. On the other, starving beggars. Now, sure, you could describe each one separately, but putting them side by side like this, it tells an instant, powerful story about inequality and tension. The feast seems even more lavish, and the poverty feels even more desperate, all because they're being compared. And that's the key, right? Writers use this to show us that the world is messy. It's complicated. It forces our brains to hold two opposing ideas at the same time, which creates this amazing sense of complexity. Dickens wasn't just saying things were good and also bad. He was saying they were both happening at the exact same time. Juxtaposition is the tool you use to capture that contradictory reality of life. Now let's look at a different kind of literary device. This one adds extra meaning by referring to something the reader may already know. It's called allusion. An allusion is like a writer's shortcut. Instead of spending paragraphs explaining an idea, the writer makes a quick reference to something many readers already know, such as Greek mythology, history, or another famous story. If you recognize the reference, you immediately understand the deeper meaning. And here's the cool part. We use allusions all the time, often without even realizing it. If someone says, he met his Waterloo, they're not just saying he lost. They're referring to Napoleon's final defeat, bringing all of that history and meaning into just a few words. Here's a really cool example from literature. In Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, the main character sees two women knitting, but the way they're described is a direct nod to the fates from Greek mythology. You know, the ancient beings who would spin, measure, and cut the threads of every human life. This instantly injects this feeling of doom and destiny into the scene, and he never has to say the word fate. And that's the real power of allusion. It draws on shared stories, history, and culture to add extra layers of meaning without needing a long explanation. And for you, the reader, recognizing an allusion creates that satisfying aha moment. Suddenly, the passage means more because you understand the reference behind it. Okay, let's move on to our third and final tool for today. This one is all about sound, all about rhythm. It's called anaphora. So anaphora is all about repetition, but it's very specific. It's repeating a word or a phrase at the beginning of a series of sentences or clauses. You can really hear the power of anaphora in this famous speech by Winston Churchill. The repeated phrase, "we shall fight," doesn't simply list different places. Each repetition adds more strength and determination, building a powerful sense of courage and resolve. By the end, it feels less like a sentence and more like a rallying cry. So anaphora creates this rhythm that just grabs you, and that repetition is almost hypnotic. It makes the main idea more persuasive and literally drills it into your memory. Oh, and guess what? That Dickens quote we started with, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Yep, that's anaphora too. The repetition of it is what gives it that unforgettable rhythm that emphasizes the story's big contradictions. Okay, you've seen the tools, you know what they do, now it's your turn. It's time to put that new knowledge to the test. Ready? So take a look at this short paragraph on your screen. I promise you, all three of the tools we've covered, juxtaposition, allusion, and anaphora, they're all hiding in there. Let's see if we can find them. Okay, first up, juxtaposition. Look closely at the text. Remember, it's all about contrast. Where do you see two opposite ideas right next to each other, creating that powerful effect? I'll give you a second. There it is. The grand mansion stood beside a crumbling shack. This is a perfect example of juxtaposition. The sharp contrast between wealth and decay immediately catches our attention and emphasizes the huge gap between them. All of that meaning comes from a single image. All right, good job. Next up, the allusion. Scan the text again. You're looking for where the writer references a famous story to give the scene a much deeper meaning. Take a look. Exactly. This place is no Garden of Eden. That reference instantly brings to mind the biblical image of a perfect paradise. The writer instantly tells us that this is a place of loss, hardship, or brokenness without having to write a whole chapter about it. And now for the final piece of the puzzle. Listen for the rhythm. Look for that deliberate repetition right at the beginning of each phrase. Where is the anaphora? You got it. We will rebuild. We will rise. We will thrive. That repetition of we will creates this powerful rising rhythm of hope and sheer determination. Even in this bleak setting we've seen, this anaphora gives us a feeling of resilience and resolve. So there you have it, juxtaposition, allusion, and anaphora, three incredible tools that writers use to make their words come alive. Now that you know what to look for, I promise your reading experience is going to be so much richer. So the only question left is, what hidden treasures are you going to find in the next story you pick up? Thank you for watching.
If you'd like more personalized feedback, writing support, and discussion sessions, they're available with me or with our selected tutors. All the details are here.